Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert with the Ted Show. I'm super excited to have my friend Justin Williams on the show. Welcome, Justin. We're going to talk about a topic I think is so important. Everybody was saying how 2020 is their year. 2020 is going to be different, new decade, new me. And we're going to talk about transformation today and how not to waste another year of your life. So Justin came up with that, and I love it. I love this topic. I love that we're going to dive deep. So welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me. Sir.
Absolutely. We've been trying to do this, and he booked it. I love it when somebody as busy as you are actually books it, follows instructions, does what they're supposed to do.
After one time, he told me to do it, and I did it right.
Seriously, he did it right then. That's my favorite. All right, so tell them a little bit about you. We love origin story on the show. We want to always get to know the guest. Tell them a little bit about you and your journey.
Well, I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia. College Park, Georgia.
Beautiful.
Specifically, born and raised there, only child. Grew up there, wanting to be a doctor. Crazy.
Is that what you wanted to be?
I did. I wanted to be a doctor. Did not happen. Crazy story of how that happened. I was going on a field trip to the VA hospital. And they were doing a procedure on this woman, and they're talking about golf and all these other crazy things. And they started pulling things out.
Oh, as they're talking?
And I woke up, and my class was looking down at me.
You had the pass out moment?
I definitely had a
Yeah,
pass
I think
out
there's
moment.
certain people that don't need to be in medicine. If you have a little bit of a blood issue, I don't. It doesn't make me squeamish, but I'm not sure I could watch that.
I don't think I had a blood issue, but after that, I realized that probably wasn't going to be the case.
That's probably not for you, my friend.
And so then, I had a part-time job at a hotel, and I actually started out in the housekeeping department.
Did you really? I did not know that.
Yeah, like taking the dirty linen and the trash.
Well, you must have some good stories then.
Oh, you have no
Cleaning up
idea.
a hotel room.
You
I
have
can't
no
even
idea.
imagine.
And so kind of grew up through the business. Traveled all around from Atlanta to Marco Island to Tampa. Had a stint in Orlando a while back, to Boston to DC.
So all the way you're working your way
the
up.
All the way, working my way up, going through the process and kind of going through a transformation actually. And then I ended up here about almost 3 years ago in Orlando.
Is the hospitality industry different in different places? Like, I feel like Orlando is known as the hospitality capital of the world, right? We have all the hotels and the parks. Is it different when you're in Boston or DC, or is it pretty much the same kind of clientele that come in?
Well, so it's very, very business oriented in some of those places I was, unless I was in a resort setting. Orlando kind of has the best of both worlds, because you have Disney, Universal, the convention center, but now you have this booming downtown that's happening now.
Yeah.
So you have truly like an urban core, and I think that's what people love about it.
They do. Our buddy Ahmed came on. He says, Justin, my man. What's up, buddy?
McCanny.
We got to go out there. We've been talking about it. You have to say yes. You have to fill out the form. I want to do a show out there. He's amazing.
Yeah, that's my brother.
All right, so you are currently at the Grand Bohemian.
I am.
And that's 3 years here.
Yeah, it'll be 3 years in June.
The thing I love about the Grand Bohemian, well, there's many things. It was the first non-smoking bar before the laws passed. You weren't here for that. And I just love the art, of course. I love everything about that hotel. I think it's absolutely beautiful. And I love what you are doing with it. We talked about your social media a little bit. But tell us about your journey to transformation. What is why was transformation, sort of a combination of our word, why was that important, or why is that important?
Well, growing up where I grew up, growing up in College Park, which was, it's an urban setting.
That's Atlanta, guys, not Orlando.
Yeah, it definitely is not that College Park. It was a rough area. So kind of transforming and being someone where, I didn't know if I was going to go to school. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. But it really helped to shape me and gave me a toughness of who I am today. So went through that, and later on in life, different things that happen, and sometimes you could look at things and say that, oh my God, this was the worst day that I ever had, or this thing that happened to me. And I tell people all the time, I never say it's the worst day ever.
Yeah, don't invite that into your life, in my opinion.
Because you haven't had your worst
No,
day
you
yet.
have
You haven't had your worst day yet. And then that was something that I realized back in 2012, 2013, when I was diagnosed with, stage 4 testicular cancer.
So what's that process? I think we don't talk enough about testicular cancer. I think guys don't talk about their cancer a lot in general.
Mm-hmm.
So the diagnosis, did you discover it yourself? Is this?
I did, and I have to admit this. If it wasn't, because sometimes men, we don't want to go to the doctor. We just don't.
Nope.
And so I told my wife, Shahinaz El Masri, the love of my life. I told her that I was feeling a lump, and she's immediately like, all right, let's call a doctor, let's get this going. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, let me just ice it down. let me do this. And
Dudes are kind of anything. We're like MacGyver when it comes to health too.
Yeah. So she makes the appointment, and we go to the doctor, and then at a certain point, there was some swelling that was almost the size of a softball.
Ouch.
And the doctor, he pretty much said to me, he says, it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck, you have cancer. And I'm like, okay, I'm thinking it's going to be a simple, okay, they remove it and we move on.
Yep.
And all of a sudden I went through chemotherapy.
Oh, you went through chemo?
I went through chemotherapy.
Wow.
Chemotherapy wasn't successful for me, so then my doctor says, there's nothing that we can do, so we think that you need to go to this doctor that was in Indiana, Dr. Einhorn, who is the most amazing. He's actually Lance Armstrong's doctor.
Wow.
He says, and my doctor said if I had cancer, this is who I would go to. So I went through 2 stem cell transplants, high dose chemotherapy, where they removed half of my liver.
They can remove half of your liver?
Yeah, because it regenerates. It grows
that's
back.
right.
So they removed half of my liver and the lymph nodes in my abdomen, because there was 2 forms of cancer that I had. One that chemotherapy could treat, and one that you have to remove because there's nothing that they could do for it. So luckily for me, I had some areas that they could remove and take it out, but it was it was a struggle. And
because usually when you hit the liver, pancreas, liver, it really that's it. A lot of times people, you start getting those conversations, like get your affairs in order, and I think it's so powerful what you're sharing, because I think people need to know that diagnosis, it's not always limited to where it's at. So yours had spread to your liver, and it had gotten into everything, and that's really where it starts to become a big challenge, because you're not just talking about where it started.
Well, testicular, actually, the pathway of where it goes is to go to your brain. So it attacks everything moving upwards.
Wow.
So that's why it went liver, lungs, it was my lymph nodes, and they have to stop it before it goes to that point. But I think the reason I shared that about transformation, because you always need somebody in your life that's able to tell you, hey, look, you can do this, we can fight, we can move forward. And for me, I have to say that was my wife, because there was times that I just didn't want to go on.
Is that because the treatment, it becomes so taxing on you, not just physically but mentally?
Oh, it was 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, there was times where it's just, things that you love to eat. I love onions. I couldn't stand the smell of an onion. The only thing that I could have that would go down was, very, very cold watermelon that was just, soothing to the throat. And I would tell her, I'll never forget, it was one time I'm on my sofa and I'm just crying, and I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to live anymore. And she picked me up and she says, you have something to live for, and you will. And I did. And
it's beautiful.
You just need really people in your life that are able to help you kind of shape who you are. We can't do things alone.
Well, that's why, and I know we're talking about cancer, but it's anything that's going on in your life. You have to have this support system, because it can be very easy to go to the give up route, especially in your case where it's hard on the mind, hard on the body. You don't have the energy, and I think a lot of times, I'll use cancer as an example. You're fundraising for people who have cancer, who need cancer treatment, and then the fundraising goes away, and then the support also goes, because people move on to the next thing they don't mean to. And so you have to have somebody like your wife, whoever your support system is. We have to remember that people are still going through it. We need to reach out, we need to check on them, we need to make sure we're there for them. And I think it's important for everybody to kind of know it just doesn't stop once the fundraiser stopped or once the treatment stopped even. There are still so many things that people deal with.
Oh yeah, and it could be anybody that can help you to get through a situation. I'm the general manager of the hotel, and yes, I have the title of the leader of the property, but I walk into, and some days I'm just having a rough day.
Right.
I walk into the kitchen and I speak to, some of the cooks that are on the line, or I go into the restaurant, or I speak to one of the front desk agents, and their spirits are up. They're happy to see me. I'm happy to see them. All of a sudden, that message changes. I go to McCanny, my friend's restaurant, and Ahmed. We just sit there and we talk about things going on in our life, and we help each other to go through it, so we can move on to the next phase of what's going on in our day. So.
You find dudes have a hard time, guys, it feels like have a hard time talking like that.
Oh yeah.
Like we want to talk, we'll punch each other in the arm. Please don't punch me in the arm. We will, not today. We will have sort of surface conversations, but there's this fear of being authentic and vulnerable with another guy. And I think it creates this isolation when we're going through something. We're afraid to say, I'm going through this, because we feel it will be perceived as a weakness, as something that is bad, and then therefore we shouldn't share it because we still have to be strong like bull, kind of stuff. And I love that you have that with Ahmed, and he just sends tons of love, by the way. I think we should all have someone, and if you don't have somebody like that in your life, you should, because I think vulnerability is actually very powerful.
I think if you don't have somebody like that, I think that's where you need to reevaluate your circle, because you don't have to have this massive circle of people, but you have a strong core of people that kind of help you hold, keep you sane, and just keep you together.
We've talked about on the show a lot, just because they're in your circle doesn't mean they're in your corner. And so you have to really evaluate, I think. If you've got toxicity in there, figure out a way to get rid of it. But also look who's cheering for you. I think there's a lot of people who are in it. I look at it like, those people are not cheering for you. Those aren't your people. But if you're used to it, or it's a long-term person, or you just kind of know what you're in for and don't expect that, then you're going to continue on, but you're not going to have the support system that you need.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100% correct.
I think the transformation's so important too, because I think that we all get stuck, right? That word's important, because we get stuck. We get at our comfort level maybe, or we just decide, well, I'm too old, I'm too young, this is just the way it's going to be, life's not going to get any better. So I'm just going to go through the motions, because that's easier than reaching for the unknown and taking the leap.
Oh yeah, you talked about sharing and being vulnerable. There's two men that I share with, well, three men I share with a lot. My childhood friend Jabron in Atlanta. There's Ahmed that's here, and then there's my brother-in-law Muhammad. With those guys, I can share anything. I can cry, I can yell, I can get angry, and I don't feel like we're judging each other for what's going on.
Right.
But you have to have that.
You do. I think we all need to have that safe place. We're so used to, because we were talking about social media, we're all out there. People think they know us. They kind of do. But there's still things that go on behind the scenes. Remember, social media is only what you're putting out there. It doesn't necessarily mean you know what's going on in the inner workings of your life. And I think that we all need that safe environment to go to, and men have a very difficult time trying to figure out who it is that they can trust and be vulnerable in front of. I share this story a lot. Men on the show are the #1 criers. And I think it's because we try to create a safe environment here. And when you're talking about something that maybe you haven't spoken out loud ever before, it's emotional, it hits you. And so I think men just need to have that. We need to be able to cry, shout, scream, not be judged. And it doesn't always have to be our spouse. Sometimes we need to have the spouse and, like, I can talk to Stacy about anything, but there are things that I will vent about to somebody else because I just need to get it out. It's just different. So you have to find your people. You have to find your tribe. You have to find the people that are going to help you in the transformation. One of the quote that I did this morning was from Coco Chanel. It's like, you have to basically stop banging on a wall thinking that you're going to break through a door.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people just spend so much time on that. They spend so much time trying to knock down a door that shouldn't be their door to open. And I think that's also where the transformation comes in.
100%. I ditto to everything that you just said.
Well, I feel like you have the same thing. So let's talk a little bit about Orlando, because you're in the heart of downtown.
I am.
What you all do, I can't speak enough about how much I love Grand Bohemian. But you're in the heart of it. You see it. You're part of it. What do you think our downtown's going to look like even this year? It feels like there's so many changes coming in. What do you see?
You know, it's so interesting. You know, I think that right now, and I'm sure people have felt this way before, that downtown, you know, was a major player, but it's becoming more and more of a major player to the entire city.
Agreed.
We love what Disney is bringing to the table, what Universal is bringing to the table in the convention center. But downtown, it has its own essence.
It does.
And I love the fact that, you know, the Grand Bohemian Hotel Orlando, I call downtown the gateway to everything else that's in Orlando. And we also are the heartbeat because of City Hall and everything that we have that's going on here. And we're right here in the center of that heartbeat of the city. When you think about Pulse and all of those things, you think about downtown Orlando and the energy that's coming from it. And I always tell people, I said, I think our hotel is such a great representation of Orlando.
I agree.
You know, there's art, there's food, there's culture, there's people that are connecting. I know, you know, we're here at the Citrus Club, but, you know, at my hotel, it's a gathering place for people. Where people literally come in, and I've seen people, they go from one table to the next table and having interactions. They go to Starbucks, they sit down in the lounge, and they feel like it's a place where they truly belong.
I love it over there, and I say over there because we're at the Citrus Club, which is across the street. I love it over there because every time I go in, it doesn't matter. Everyone is friendly. And I think that a lot of times in hospitality we forget that, but I believe, and I really want you to take this compliment, I believe it starts from the top, how people interact with other people. And so if your leadership like you are there, and I think a lot of are there, and you're encouraging people to be like that, and you're obviously like that with your entire staff, that just trickles downward.
Well, I think, you know, when people talk about, you know, the leader is at the top, and some people say, no, we lead, you know, from the side. I think the reason that leader is at the top is because you have a secure base and foundation underneath you. And I think that my team, especially at this hotel, which they are the most amazing team that I've ever worked with, they are truly the foundation of everything that is Grand Bohemian. And they allow you to oversee. I've said this before. As a general manager, you're just like in the bowling alley where, you know, you have your, you know, people that can't bowl, and they put those gutters up on the side, the bumpers,
the bumpers,
to where the ball doesn't go into the gutter. That's it. They know that they've got the mission is great guest service, so they know they have to hit those pins at the end. They know how to get there. General manager and leadership is just here to make sure you just don't fall and you don't gonna go too much to the right or too much to the left, that you stay focused on the goal.
And you create an environment over there, I feel like, that I wish a lot of leaders would kind of mimic or try to also emulate. You create an environment where it's safe to be creative, it's safe to be you, it's safe for you to have ideas. There's a lot of times companies fail, because I've done a lot of leadership workshops, and so companies fail because the manager thinks there's only one way, or it's the highway, and then there's no encouragement to be creative, there's no encouragement to be vulnerable enough to go, hey, listen, Justin, I have this idea, what do you think? And I think that you create such a great environment over there, and you can tell it. I'm telling you, when you walk into a place where the people feel empowered, which is what is over at the Grand Bohemian, it's a testament to the leadership, and I want to encourage other people to kind of follow that mindset. I'm very blessed at the home team of Freedom Mortgage because I have the same kind of leadership. Brandon and James are just the exact same way. Go forth and do good. Here's your bumpers, right? We know what we got to get at the end. But if you have questions or ideas or thoughts, or it's safe for me to go and say, hey, this is what I'd like to do, and you're going to come back and give me a real answer, and I'm going to know it's in a safe place that I can have that conversation. All right, so we're going to share all of Justin's contact. See how fast it goes? All of Justin's contact information, how you can reach out to him, how you guys can also go and enjoy the Grand Bohemian downtown, because it's absolutely beautiful if you have not been there. The food's amazing. The staff are amazing. That bar is one of my favorite places in Orlando. If you want to see and be seen, that's definitely the bar, the lounge area, I'll call it. But you gave a shout out earlier, but I'd like you to expand on it. We're really big on mentorship here. We're really big on giving gratitude, showing gratitude, expressing it to people who have made an impact in our lives. So can you do that for a couple of people, one or two people, one person?
Yeah, absolutely. I think two people specifically. One I have to start with my mother, who is who worked extremely hard. My mother and my grandmother, who really raised me, and they started me off in the right direction. And then I think you have to give credit to people that help shape you on a daily and consistent basis. I've had business mentors, but I give a lot of credit to my wife. It's that iron sharpening iron, and she's been a person, whether she's not afraid to say, you need to get your stuff together. You need to change it. It's not always, she's soft when she needs to be, and she's firm when she needs to be, and it's vice versa. But she's truly, helped, me to transform into a better person. And I don't think I would have the success in my life that I have right now if it wasn't for her, if it wasn't for her. So my mother built the foundation, and then my wife came through, and she kind of helped to shape me where I am.
Absolutely love that. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule. Thank you for
Thank you.
sharing your journey, because I guarantee you, we already had somebody say inspirational. I think it's important for us to share this stuff, because you are going through it. You think you're alone, but you have people like Justin who have been through it before, whatever it is. You can do it. So you can transform. Thank you so much, my friend. I really appreciate you. We love you guys. Have a beautiful weekend.